Brilliance Audio presents Hellbent by Gregg Hurwitz, performed by Scott Brick. Evan moved swiftly through the door to his penthouse suite at the Castle Heights residential tower, his rum zone pressed to his ear. The phone, encased in hardened rubber and Gorilla Glass, was as durable as a hockey puck and essentially impossible to trace. Every incoming call to 1-855-2-Nowhere traveled in digital form over the internet through a labyrinth of encrypted virtual private network tunnels. After a round-the-world tour of software telephone switch destinations, it emerged through the receiver of the roam zone. Evan always answered the phone the same way. "Do you need my help?" This time, for the first time, the voice on the other end was a familiar one. Jack Johns. Jack had plucked Evan from the obscurity of a foster home at the age of 12 and placed him in a fully deniable black program buried deep inside the Department of Defense. Jack had turned Evan into Orphan X, an expendable assassin who went where the U.S. government would not, and did what the U.S. government could not. Jack had fought for Evan to stay human, even while teaching him to be a killer. The only father Evan had ever known was calling this line now, a line reserved for those in mortal danger, and he had answered Evan's question, "Do you need my help?" with a single syllable. Yes. Evan and Jack had an elaborate series of protocols for establishing contact. Never like this. For Jack to call this number meant that he was up against what others might consider world-destroying trouble. All Evan had gotten over the phone so far was that one word. Static fuzzed the line infuriatingly, the connection going in and out. He was gripping the phone too hard. Jack. Jack. Jack! 8 years ago, Evan had gone rogue from the Orphan Program. At the time, he'd been the program's top asset. Given the sensitive information in his head, the bodies he'd put in the ground, and the skills encoded into his muscles, he could not be allowed to exist. The most merciless of the orphans, Charles Van Sciver, had taken over the program, and was hell-bent on tracking down and eradicating Evan. Vanishing was easier, when you already didn't exist. The Orphan Program lived behind so many veils of secrecy that no one, except their immediate handlers, knew who the orphans were. They were kept in separate silos and deployed through encoded comms that preserved plausible deniability at every level. Double-blind protocols ensured that even the handlers' whereabouts were often unknown by higher headquarters. And so Evan had simply stepped off the grid, keeping only the operational alias he'd earned in the Shadow Service, a name spoken in hushed tones in the back rooms of intel agencies the world over. The Nowhere Man. He now helped the desperate, those with no place left to turn, people suffering at the hands of unrepentant and vicious abusers. His clients called 1-855-2-Nowhere, and their problems were solved. Antiseptic. Effective. Impersonal. Until this. Evan's tense steps echoed around the 7,000 square feet of his condo. The open stretch of gunmetal gray floor was broken by workout stations, a few sitting areas, and a spiral staircase that rose to a loft he used as a reading room. The kitchen area was equally modern, all stainless steel and poured concrete. The views up here on the 21st floor were dazzling, downtown Los Angeles shimmering like a mirage 12 miles to the east. Despite all that space, Evan was having trouble breathing. He felt something wild clawing in his chest, something he couldn't identify. Fear? Jack! The reception crackled some more, and then, finally, Jack's voice came through again. "Evan,